Okay, the date is February 10th, 2016, on a Wednesday, and Addie Grooms, Olivia Bishop, Allie Meyer are interviewing Lelah Pancake. Marshall, Illinois. Okay, what is your full name?
Lelah Grace Pancake.
Okay, and when were
Willis Pancake. I was a Willis.
you? Okay, and when and where were you born?
Petersburg, Indiana.
And what are your parents' names?
My mother's name was Ines Parker. My father's name was Floyd Willis.
Okay, and how many siblings did you have?
Oh, I had 6, because there were 7 of us.
Wow. Do you know all of their names?
Oh, sure. You want me to say the name?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start out with the oldest. Imel, and he's deceased. And Maribel, she's deceased. And Wesley, and he's deceased. And then I have James, and he lives in Texas. He is 91 and still teaches first kindergarten.
Whoa.
And then Morris, and then me, and then Morris, and then Orr Swain, and he's the youngest.
Okay. Did you all grow up together?
Yes, we did.
Okay. How many years did you live in Petersburg?
Oh, I lived in Petersburg until 1960. So I was probably 33 or 34 when I moved here.
Okay, and why did you move here?
I moved here because I got a job here teaching.
Okay, did you live in a neighborhood in Petersburg?
No, we lived about 3 miles out in the country.
So you didn't have any neighbors?
I had neighbors, yes. Not real close neighbors, but close enough I could holler at them.
Did you guys have to do chores?
Yes, we did have to do chores. Now, when I went to school, after I got home, in the summertime, we helped in the garden. And I helped my mother can some, but she didn't make me do a lot of things. But now we had coal stoves. Everything that you heated with was with coal or wood. And so we had a coal pile. My daddy, he dug the coal all summer long. He dug coal deep under, he and his brother, and then he stacked it out and back. And so every night there was a coal bucket for each one of us, 2 coal buckets, and we had to fill those up and bring them in the house and set we knew which stove each bucket belonged by. That's what we did. That was really my mother I dried the dishes sometimes, but she never made me wash the dishes.
What were the meals you guys had to prepare?
Beans and gravy and potatoes. Fried potatoes mostly.
Did you grow that?
Yes.
Yourselves? Okay. What kind of things did your family do to have fun?
To have fun?
Mm-hmm.
We just played tag, just games that you play out in the yard. And then my dad made us some wooden things that they came down like this, and then they had a crossbar. They were wood. And then he hunted us up some little metal rings, and we'd push those down the road and see who could keep their ring up the longest. And then he helped us make some stilts, and we walked on stilts, and we even took those to school with us, and we could walk on them at recess.
Really?
Were you good?
What?
Were you good at walking on the stilts?
At that time I was. I couldn't do it now, yeah. But I was at that time.
Okay, you want to ask the next one?
And we lived on a canal. So that was our full entertainment. In the summertime, we swam in the canal. In the wintertime, we skated on it. And so and we put a little boat that we made on it. And so it was just a small part of the Wabash and Erie Canal.
Where did you attend school at? Like high school and grade school?
High school?
Yeah.
In Petersburg, in town.
Do you have very many memories about your education?
Oh, I do. I had always gone to a one-room school out in the country. And most of the time I was just 1 or 2 people in my class. And the way they did that, if they didn't have over 1, See, I didn't ever take the second grade because there was nobody but me in the class, and so I had done really well in the first grade, so they just moved me to the third grade. So I didn't ever take the second grade, but that's what I taught all the time was the second grade. And and we had a lot of fun games we played at school too. Now I'm getting off base. I have forgotten the question. What did you ask?
I asked just memories of your education.
That was it. When
Yeah.
I went to school at the one-room school until I was finished with the 8th grade. And then we had to go in town to high school. And my first year, we didn't have any bus service. And my dad didn't drive a car. He never did drive a car. And so my brother that's out in Texas, he's just a year and 4 months older than I am. And we had to, one of our neighbors, she worked at the courthouse. She would let us ride with her. That was 3 miles. And we'd ride with her, but not most of them, but lots of times we walked home in the afternoon because we could walk home together. And so that was fond memories. We had a good time when we were doing it. And we went to a few ball games in town, or if there was a play or something. And once a month, once a week, all the kids in our neighborhood, if they had the money, it only cost 10 cents, but if you had the money, you could go to the movie. So we went as a group, but we walked in town. Nobody had transportation. So we walked that 3 miles, and we'd go to the movie, and then we'd walk home after the movie was over. Now, I cleaned the house for a lady, and she had a 4-room house. And I cleaned the whole house for her for a quarter. And then she had a little store out in front. In one room, she had sold the staples and candies and things. So after she paid me the quarter, I'd walk through her store and I'd buy 2 candy bars, which was a nickel a piece. So she got a dime of it back. And then the other I saved so I could go to the movie on Thursday night.
Did you do much dating? Like, how old were you when you started to date?
About 16.
About 16. Okay. What would you guys do whenever you went on dates? Where would you go?
Like we would go to the movie, or we went to church, or that was just mainly what we could do. But the main person that I dated, he did have a car, so we could go a few places. It was his dad's car. Of course, there was restrictions on the car. And by this time, my dad had bought a car. He didn't drive, but he bought it for us, all of us children. And he was not selfish with the car. If he didn't need to go anyplace, if he needed the car that night, you had to take him, because we could drive and he couldn't. But you took him. He came first on the car. And then if you had money to put gas in the car and you wanted to go someplace and he wasn't using it, he didn't mind if we took the car. But you had to be in by 10 o'clock. That was the rules. You put the gas in and you be in by 10 o'clock and you can have the car if I don't need it.
Was gas expensive? How much did gas cost?
13 cents a gallon.
13 cents a gallon.
That's crazy.
So it wasn't too bad if I could save enough out of my money working.
Yeah.
And you were still cleaning the house at that time?
I cleaned that house for a couple of years, but then my aunt would have me, aunt and uncle, they had a strawberry patch, and I picked strawberries for them. And I helped her in her kitchen some, too. She wasn't well.
Would you clean the house like once a week?
Yes.
That was weekly. What were the fashion trends like back then?
Fashion trend, well, back then, girls didn't wear jeans at all, and they didn't wear slacks even. Now, and most thing that people dressed in was a sweater and a skirt and a white blouse. I mean, if you got dressed up to go out someplace, that was and you wore colored blouses too. Or my mother made some of my clothes, but she was not a good seamstress, so she didn't try to make all of it. My aunt in St. Louis, I went to St. Louis about every summer and stayed with her for about 2 months, and she would make my clothes for the next year. And then she had some granddaughters that were just a little bit older than me, and she would give me some of their clothes too. I didn't mind to wear them because they were always, they were what I call city clothes. They were different than what we had on. where we live.
Did you get married?
Yes.
Yes.
I got married at 18.
At 18. So when you didn't live in Marshall whenever you got married.
What?
You didn't live in Marshall whenever
No,
you got
no.
married.
I didn't live in Marshall till after I went through college.
Okay.
Where did you go to college?
Oakland City, Indiana. It was just a college and it's a university now, but it was only about 9 miles from where I lived, so I could go real cheap. You know, it didn't cost me anything I could stay at home, and I already had my 5 children most of the time I was in school.
Oh, really? When did you decide to become a teacher? And why did you decide to become a teacher?
My brother and my mother decided it for me. It scared me to death when they told me that I had to go, because my mother, that was a big thing with her, that everybody needed to go. And so my brother came and talked to me, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, I'm too old to go to college. And so I said, don't even talk to me about it. I don't want to talk to you. And he says, well, you have to go down and talk to your mom, because she wants to talk to you. Well, I knew I was in trouble then, because if she insisted, you did what she wanted you to do. So she talked me into going, and she said she would help take care of my children if I would go. So I did, and I did it in 3.5 years. I didn't stop. Once I started at the second semester, I started after Christmas, and then I went all summer. I just never did stop till I graduated.
Going back to the question of being married, who did you marry?
Wayne Pancake.
Wayne Pancake. And what year was that? I know you said you were 18, but...
And that was in 1942.
1942. And then you had all of your children, and then you attended college.
Yes.
Yeah. And then did your whole family move to Marshall with you when you moved?
They did. We were going through here on a vacation, and I'd never been to Marshall, but we were taking Wayne's mother up to Oakland, Illinois, to see her brother. And when we came into Marshall, the big trees on the south end of town had just grown together. They were huge trees. It was like you were driving through a tunnel. It was so pretty. And we were driving by the South School, and I said, oh, I would love to get a job there. I was looking for a job.
Mm-hmm.
And so my husband said, well, why don't we just stop and you go in and ask, see if they need somebody. And I said, oh, I don't know, because I was kind of shy. And I said, I will if you'll go with me. He said, I'll go with you. So I went in and asked, and you would never know him, but Mr. Tyler was the principal, and Mr. Davis might have been, I don't know, but they were both standing there. It was the last day of school. And when I went up, and they asked if they could help me, and I said, well, I'm really looking for a job for next year. And so I told them, and I wanted to teach elementary. And Mr. Tyler said, you're just the person we're looking for. I said, we have an overload of second graders, and they were going to be in the administration building, and you would be upstairs. And he said, from what you're telling me, he said, you're just the person we're looking for. He said, could you come back this afternoon and be interviewed with the superintendent of school? And I said, yes. And he said, well, that would be at the high school. Well, I didn't know where the high school was, but he explained it to me. And he said, bring your family with you. So we took his mother up where she was going. We ate dinner, and then we came back down for that. We knew it's not that far. We could go back and get her. So I was interviewed, and they gave me the job.
And then you said you were upstairs at the administration building? You weren't
Yes.
even in the school for your first year?
That's where I taught the first year, was upstairs in the administration building.
And then your second year, did you move back to the school?
No, I was in there for 2.5 years, and they built in they had to have more room. That's before they had the north. They had an old north school, but they had to tear it down.
Mm-hmm.
And they were getting ready to build a new elementary school. So they built the gymnasium down at the South School. They put 3 classrooms in there. So at Christmas time, on the 3rd year that I was here, during vacation, I was moved down to the school then,
Okay.
in one of those rooms,
All right.
and stayed there for 2 years until they got the North School built, and I moved there and finished up there.
Okay, what historical events stand out in your mind, like from when you were a kid or when you taught?
A historical event.
Mhm.
Well, of course, I was teaching when J.F. Kennedy was assassinated. Now, everybody will remember where they were that day.
Mhm. Where were you? You were teaching. You were at
I was
school.
reading a story to my children, and it was just right afternoon, and a Mrs. Brown walked in and told our class, and that's how we knew about it. And then I'm trying to think. Of course, I hadn't started teaching yet when the war started, because it was going on when I got married. But I don't know. I'm sure if I could think, there would be lots of other things. But that was one of the most devastating things, when our president was assassinated.
Mhm.
How long did you teach?
I taught. I'm trying to think here. I taught 32 years.
32 years. And did you teach second grade the whole time?
The whole time,
The
second
whole
grade.
time.
Now, I always wanted to see what they were doing in the other classes, because I had the little ones all that time, but I loved it. But there was a fellow there, and he taught the 5th grade, and one day he said, "Why don't you and I switch classes for today? You teach mine and I'll teach yours." And we did, and that was a lot of fun. I don't know if they would even let you do that nowadays or not, but we did it then.
What year did you retire?
I retired in 1965. Now, I'm thinking, is that right? I figured it up the other day. Anyway, I retired. I don't know how many years that's been. I retired the year Jason was killed, and I don't know how many years ago that's been.
I don't know either. 40 something. I think, yeah.
So I can't be for sure just what year it was.
Okay, well, I think we have everything.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I enjoyed it.